I want to talk about immigration because I still see a lot of people getting this issue wrong, particularly the left. They seem to have a real problem anytime you bring it up. First, let me pose a question. Is there anybody on the right or left, take the extremes, that don't want higher wages? Does anybody not want to fix the housing crisis on the extreme left and the extreme right? And I would say in both cases, the extreme left and the extreme right both hate these big corporations that have been taking advantage of the working class for the last, like 50 years now. So already when I look at this on the surface, it seems to me like there should be a lot of overlap here when it comes to the issues that I just laid out. But increasingly what you find is that, and by the way, I want to make something clear. When you're trying to figure out what the problem is, a good way to tell where the big fucking problem is when the right and the left, and I'm talking about Democrats and Republicans in power, when they are on the same page, that is generally where the shitstorm is. That is the problem that's not being addressed or is not allowed to be addressed. So, for instance, the war in Gaza. Most people already agree that we shouldn't be funding that, but the right and the left unanimously have come to Israel's aid. And the right and the left are both pro-immigration. Now, people on the left are going to say, oh, no, Trump's deporting everyone. Stop. In 6 months, it came out that he only deported 147,000. 10 to 12 million came in. He's on track to not even do like 1.5 million by the time he's out. This is basically nothing. That's like saying you're doing it, but not really. So, and he talked about bringing in 600,000 Chinese. And you know what the reasoning was? Because the bottom 15% of schools would go out of business, colleges. What the fuck do we care about that? Tell me how that's my problem. That's just another case in where immigration is being used to the benefit of these corporations, these schools, these businesses. The left really they don't care that they're like Americans. They think, I guess you guys think this country sucks and there's no real benefit to being born here. It's just like, you're just like everybody else. But I will pose this to you and I will say, the benefit to you growing up here is that you know when you're being screwed. You know when you're getting fucked. The immigrant that comes over here doesn't know and quite frankly doesn't care because whoever hired him has leverage over him. So he's not going to ask for the higher wages that you are. You rightfully know that you should be paid more. He doesn't, or he doesn't care, and he's not in a position to argue. You are, because you know better and you've lived here. You know what it costs to live here. It came out that there is 75 million immigrants here in the United States. There's 55 million on visas, which a lot of people didn't know. And there's at least another 20 that are illegal. Do you realize that if we just got these people out, that would fix the housing crisis overnight? Do you even care? Do you just hate the right wing so much? And by the way, I'm not left or right. I'm fucking pissed. All right? That's why I'm talking about this. There's a lot of things the right does that I don't appreciate. And ask yourself, who's benefiting from immigration? It's not you. You don't benefit at all. You don't get shit from it. Big tech gets their Indians. The agriculture industry gets their cheap labor. And your wages stay down. You can't buy a house. This is arguably the biggest issue of all the issues we could talk about. Immigration is the biggest issue. Remember Occupy Wall Street and all these lefties back in the day that they just wanted to stick it to the elites. Now more than ever, it seems like the left doesn't really seem to care. They act like they're mad about these corporations making a lot of money, but not really. They don't really give a shit because they're pro-immigration, and that's like the biggest thing helping pump the stock market. All this cheap labor increases GDP. And let's go back to the beginning, because we're kind of starting in the middle of the story to begin with. The reason Biden flooded the country with 10 million illegals is because he needed to stimulate the economy. This is all about GDP. And let's go back further than that. Feminism was used as a way to get women in the workforce so that they could provide more tax revenue, stimulate more growth at the expense of our birth rate. Now that our birth rate is down and we're under that 2.1 that you need in order for a society to sustain itself, Biden and the elite class imported a bunch of cheap labor. You have to realize that these people hate you. These big corporations absolutely fucking hate you. They don't give a fuck about waiting for your kid to grow to 18 to get into the workforce. Fuck that. That takes way too long. They can just have these people walk over the border and they're ready to work now. Fuck if they assimilate or not. They don't care. They hate the American citizen. They do not give a fuck. You are the last person on their mind. All of us, left, right. So if you're on the left or the right or wherever the fuck you are, who cares? And you want to stick it to these fucking corporations, if you want to come together and say, America is not the stock market, say no to immigration. And here's the other thing I'll say. One last thing. Try and say no to immigration. I want you to try. Even if you're on the left, you're like, screw the right. I want immigration to annoy them. Whatever. See if you can say no. You can't say no. Trump is pro-immigration. The left is pro-immigration. Everybody next to Trump is pro-immigration, by the way. J.D. Vance, all these people. The tech bros, Vivek Ramaswamy. All these people, they're all pro-immigration. Ask yourself, why can't we say no? If we really run this country, why can't we say no? That's because we're on to something. We're on to them. Say no to immigration.